The supreme art of war is to defeat the enemy without fighting, said by Sun Tzu. Hello everyone, my name is Vikram Sharma and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. Today we are moving towards the NATO and the Russo-Ukrainian war. See, as you know about, previous to this, we have discussed about our part 1. If anybody has not seen that part, I request everybody, please move towards our part 1. See the part 1 of this video. Into that, you will be able to understand what NATO is about, why it was formed, what was the time period of the World War II, what were the reasons and the consequences that the NATO as well as the Warsaw was being formed. So in this is a continuing video, okay, that is the part 2 of the NATO. This could be also be easily understood by you, but if you see the part 1, it will be more progressive as well as positive in nature, okay. So we are continuing with the part 2, that is the NATO and the Russo-Ukrainian war, okay. So let's understand about this, that what are the reasons that there is a war between the Russia as well as the Ukraine. Now, as I've told you into our last video, that what happened, that in 1991 the USSR got disintegrated. With the disintegration of the USSR, Warsaw Pact was also dissolved. Okay, this is normal. Okay, now what happened after this? The USA changed the agenda of the NATO. Now what happened? The USA started considering Russia as a defeated superpower. They were not giving a equality of status to the Russian Federation, and they were considering that Russia is a defeated superpower, and Russia asked the USA that you should dissolve the NATO because NATO is the relic of the Cold War era, and NATO was formed during the Cold War for the purpose of the Cold War. Like, we have dissolved the Warsaw, so simultaneously the NATO should also be dissolved. But USA was not ready with this. Rather, they changed the agenda of NATO. The NATO changed its agenda from a defensive pact into a offensive expansionist alliance. Now the NATO became interventionist in nature. US, because as I've told you, that USA was not ready to treat Russia as a equal partner. Rather, they were considering Russia as a defeated superpower. So from this, the agenda of the NATO also changed. It became interventionist. It started interfering into the domestic policies of the other countries even without the prior authorization of the UN as well as the UNSC. And Russia was knowing about this fact that this will be a problem for us into the future time period. Okay, but at that time, the Russian president was the Boris Yeltsin, the first president of the Russian Federation. I think so. He served 2 terms. You can check it. Okay, I'm not sure about that, but I think so. He served 2 terms. But he was not a core leader or a very, we can say, a very progressive leader. Sometimes it is said that he was quite afraid from the United States. Okay. And later on in 1999 to 2000, another leader came, a very hardcore leader, and he's into the top of the Forbes magazine as well as the Time magazine, Man of the Year. Okay, we have seen Vladimir Putin, ex-KGB. He was a spy. He was an agent of the KGB. KGB was the spy agency of the USSR, and he wanted to take the Russia on the path of reforms, and he want to regain the status of the Russia that was pre 1991. Okay, so he started criticizing the United States that your policies are interventionist and whatever you are doing into the Europe, this is not right. And later on, the USA even sent the NATO forces on the Russian borders, total disregard to the Russia's security interest. Now you can see that what USA is doing now. Okay, so after this, we are moving towards that how what are the relations between the NATO as well as the Russia. Now initially we have to understand, after 1991, the Russia tried to maintain a very conspicuous relations with the NATO. Even Russia joined the peace framework. We'll discuss about this. Kindly see into this screen. Relations between the NATO military alliance and the Russian Federation were established in 1991 with the framework of NATO Cooperation Council. In 1994, the Russia also joined a Partnership for Peace program. Russia has strived very much hard to maintain the peace and tranquility into the Eurasia. The location of the Russia is into the Eurasia. EURASIA. Eurasia means Europe plus Asia. Okay. So at that time, even Russia joined the NRPJC, NATO Russia Permanent Joint Council. This is again a very positive thing. And Russia has formed the CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization, of some alternative Russian military-led alliance of the post with some post-Soviet states. They even formed the CSTO, but it was not a very powerful organization. So we have seen that after the 1991, when the USA became the sole superpower of the world and there exhibited unipolarity and the American hegemony. Okay, see, there are three things: unipolar, bipolar and multipolar. 1945 to 1991 bipolarity. Post 1991, for a little time period, we have seen the unipolarity and the American hegemony. And after 2000, we can say there is a multipolarity. There are multiple powers into the world. Okay, so here we are seeing up to the time period of the we can say 1994 or to the 1999, 1997, Russia is trying to develop a good relations with the NATO, but things changed. Vladimir Putin came into the power, and as I've told you, the NATO became very much interventionist into the internal affair of other countries. They started bombing on the Yugoslavia. Okay, Russia criticized this, that this is not the area or the domain of the NATO, but total disregard to the Russia's voice, because Russia was not treated as an equal partner. So USA started the it was the internal matter of the Yugoslavia, and the NATO operated into this. After the Yugoslavian crisis, yeah, the killing of the Alexander Litvinenko. I want to tell you about this person. He's no more. I think so. He was killed in 2006. This was also the reason between the distancing between the NATO and the US as well as the Russia. What was the reason of the killing of the Alexander Litvinenko? He was a British naturalized citizen into the Russia. He was a agent, or you can say he was a member. He was a official into the FSB. What is FSB? Federal Security Bureau. After the KGB into the USSR, it was converted into the Federal Security Bureau of the Russia, the spy agency of the Russia, or the security agency of the, or the intelligence agency of the Russia. So he was a member to that. He used to work as an official person into that. But he coined a term that is called as the mafia state. I request everybody to remember this. This was a person who coined the term mafia state. He said that there is a mafia into the Russia, and he highly criticized the Vladimir Putin, and he was killed by poisoning, polonium-210. Okay, it is a kind of, I think so, radiation. If we see radiation poisoning, if we say, and this issue became a very big hype between the US and the Russia. And US said that it is the Russian government or the Vladimir Putin who have done this, and there was a distancing into the relation. After the Litvinenko, we are having the independence of Kosovo. This was another main reason that we have seen that there was a change into the attitude. Okay, the NATO's intervention into the Bosnia as well as the Herzegovina. This was also not welcomed by the Russia. Russia said that the NATO is changing its role. Okay. Similarly, we see the intervention of the NATO into the Afghanistan crisis. Likewise, the 9/11 happened, and it terribly challenged the USA's hegemony in the world. So it was a very big thing that after a very long time period, the Islamic world, a separate world, has challenged the hegemony of the United States of America. And now, during the Afghanistan crisis, the USA has spent $4 trillion into the Afghanistan, and that is a war on terrorism. Still, they were not able to end the Taliban. And after the 9/11, the NATO was sent into the Horde. The NATO could not go into that, but NATO went into the area of the for killing the ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, that is into the Iraq as well as the Syria. So in all these areas, we have seen that NATO became interventionist. Okay. Now after that, we are having the another 2014 Russia's annexation of Crimea. Now after this was a time period between 2000 to 2014, there was a distancing between the Putin as well as the US president. But in 2014, we have seen that the Russia annexed Crimea. The Russian side, we will discuss the both. The Russian side said that these are the Slavic people, same people into the Crimea. Crimea is was a part of the Ukraine, and they annexed it. But Russian side said that we have launched a referendum. On the other hand, we have seen that the USA said that it is an illegal process, and we criticize Russia on this. Okay, and they suspended Russia from G8. This was an important thing. Okay, now this was a big matter of concern. Okay, now this again is a very important, this is a very important topic that I am going to discuss with you. After 2014 to 2020, there was a blame game between the US and the Russia. Both used to criticize each other. Many INF treaty, they both the countries violated the INF treaty. Okay, now what happened in 2021? I'm coming nearby to the topic of the Ukraine as well as the Russia. On April 13, to the NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg called on Russia to build up its exercise with the Russian borders. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that Russia has deployed troops to western border for combat training exercise in response to the NATO. Now what happened? NATO conducted a very gargantuan, a very Leviathan kind of military training exercise which was led by NATO into the border areas. Okay, and it began in mid-March and lasted until June. It included nearly operation of more than 30 training areas in Estonia, Bulgaria, Romania and other countries. So Russia said that NATO is conducting training exercise on the Russian borders. So that's why in response to that, we are conducting our exercise. Okay, this is also right because US is not respecting the Russia's security interest. Then after that, after this, what happened? As you know that the headquarters of the NATO are into the Brussels, Belgium. Okay, so what happened into this? The NATO expelled 8 to 10 Russian diplomats from the headquarters of the NATO by saying that they were spying or they were collecting information. So this was not lied by the Russia also. So Russia in October 2021, Russia suspended this complete mission to the NATO, which is headquartered into the Belgium. Now after that, Vladimir Putin stated that NATO's presence in the Ukraine, especially the deployment of long-range missiles, which are capable of striking the Russian cities, will be a red line for the Western countries as well as for the NATO. So this is completely disregard. This is a disrespect to the Russia. Now Vladimir Putin clearly stated that if NATO will expand, okay, if they are deploying the long-range missile system, this is the Lakshman Rekha for the Western countries as well as for the NATO. And system that threaten vicinity of the Russian territory. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg replied that it's only Ukraine and 30 allies that decide, and Russia has no say into this. The NATO Secretary General replied that Russia cannot speak on this matter. It is only the Ukraine. Okay. So finally, what happened after this? See, here the USA is not respecting the Russia's viewpoint, and you can see that how USA is subjugating the voice of the Russia. So finally, what happened? February 2022, Russia struck the first missile on the Ukraine, and ultimately the war started. You know about that. So with this, what we can understand that even NATO is not properly the subject matter, but it has the reason behind the war is the NATO, because Russia says that I raise a question over here that if the Ukraine was the member to the NATO, will it treat the Russia like in the same manner? No, the things could not go into the same manner. So it is up to you how you see, because audience final decision is up to the audience. Some people are pro Russia, some are anti Russia, some are pro West, some are anti West. So it is up to you that how you see the entire of the situation. You can also see the situation on the grounds of the security or the humanitarian grounds. So it is clear. So Vladimir Putin is not a normal kind of leader. He is a very clear leader with his principles. He is the ex-KGB, you know what. He struck the missile, he started the war, because USA has created a vacuum into the market by saying that Ukraine will become the member. And even they have not made the Ukraine a proper member to the NATO. And if USA's morals are so much high, even NATO, Ukraine is not the member to the NATO, why the USA unilaterally cannot help the Ukraine on the grounds of humanitarian when they can go into the Afghanistan or Iraq or many other countries? What is the reason behind that? Because still after the 1991 and 1945, the USA and the collective defense pact NATO cannot challenge the position of the Russia. Russia is not an ordinary country. We have to remember about this. Okay, so what Russia has done, it is right into their context, and now it is a situation that the Volodymyr Zelensky, he was a comedian also, okay, and he's on the back foot. He cannot withdraw from the war because there is a national morale onto this topic, and because Putin has initiated the war, so how he can go on the back foot? Okay, so I think so everybody is clear with the entire of the topic. Okay, I request you that watch both the videos in a proper manner, collect the data, read the data, paste it into your room. The question could be asked, okay, now the question could be asked into the UPSC mains written into the political science optional as well as into the GS2 IR, that should India become the member to the NATO, discuss or critically examine what could be the possibilities of becoming the India to the member of the NATO's into the future. So this could be asked, okay, but we have to understand, okay, because every country into the international sphere, they do not do politics, they work according to their national interest. Okay, I want to say a very important thing, that a mere change in the central government will not change the basic principles of the foreign policy. Foreign policy is not a political document. Okay, that's why the John F. Kennedy has said that domestic policy can only defeat us, but foreign policy can kill us. Okay, so at that time you have to decide according to me that according to my calculation, what I've studied, the research that I've gone through, according to me, the war could be stopped till next year, mid 2024 or end of 2024. But this is just a suspicion. I cannot say this is the exact data. I am not sure about this. It could be continued for a long time period also. But we have seen that somebody in the world wants the war. Somebody is there. Like there is some person, there is some power. It could be US or some other person who is behind the curtain. He wants that there should be a war. Sometimes he wants that there should be an Afghanistan war. Sometimes he wants that there should be a Iraq war, or sometimes he wants that there should be a war into the Ukraine. So somebody financing the war, but there is somebody who wants that at least 1 to 2 wars should exist into the world permanently. Now we do not know the speculations behind that. Okay, so I think so the lecture, everybody has understood the lecture in a proper manner. I am very much thankful to all of you for listening to me. God bless you.